All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode on YouTube. And today it's all about adaptability. I think this is where a lot of us men falter in our lives because one thing is on one side of the fence, we want to have the women, we want to have the money, we want to have the life where we don't have to worry about things. This is called freedom, right? We want that ultimate level of freedom. But there's one common denominator in all of it, and that is your confidence. But what is important about confidence that you're missing, and how can most men find this and develop confidence to then receive the benefits, which is ultimate freedom? And part of that is to become adaptable. Now, when I was in special operations, this was incredibly paramount in our effectiveness to be leaders, good leaders, to be in war, right? And to train and excel at very high levels of the spectrum. Now, adaptability is the strength of being elite. It is also the strength of being confident, because when a man that is confident knows that he is able to perform in any aspect or experience in life, he doesn't worry about going to places. He doesn't worry about interacting with people. He is confident in the way that he presents himself and who he is. And when he asks questions, which most men find emasculating, which is why a lot of us do not do it, when he asks questions, guess what? He asks it with confidence in himself, with confidence in the fact that, yeah, he doesn't know it and he wants to learn more about it. So he's going to ask the question and have it returned to him in the information that then he can process and he can look into and then utilize that as part of what he knows now in his knowledge base. But men that are very scared and feeble in that attempt are the ones that choose not to ask questions because they'd rather not be seen as scared and feeble, because that's exactly what they are. But confident men do this. They're very good about just putting themselves in the ability to be adaptable. That is the biggest strength that I see across the board between elite and confident and strong men and alphas and all the things that you want to say are good about men. It is their ability to be adaptable regardless of the situation. So the first thing is being adaptable. That is a trait we as men should all be looking to have, in my opinion. Now, granted, you guys know you can classify your version of masculinity of what aligns with you, what develops your authenticity and connects with that. I don't want to try to sit there and persuade you to believe that there's one set of rules for this, but I will tell you that when it comes to confidence, when it comes to confidence in men, when it comes to confidence in life, when it comes to getting the woman that you desire or having women desire you, confidence plays a huge role in this. Now, don't get confidence mixed with arrogance. That's different. But confidence comes through adaptability. And that is one of the biggest traits I see that men need when they say they want to be confident. They have to become adaptable. And that requires you to do and read and process and think in different ways, guys. You have to be able to experience life and put yourself in positions that you're not typically in so you can become adaptable. And then confidence follows that. And so and likewise, guys, when you are confident in situations, even though you may not have the answer, but you're confident that you can move in that situation, move that environment, and you can be successful in how you present yourself and comfortable with how you present yourself, then you are going to have adaptability. It's hand in hand. These two play on one another, and it's not talked about very often because many men don't really understand it. Many men don't even understand that part of the reason why they have confidence is because if you put them in any situation, they're highly adaptable. They may not know that's where their confidence comes from because they've never been in a situation that just highlights and pinpoints that exact feature as to why they're confident in who they are. Right? Now, I've had the added benefit of being in war. I've had the added benefit of being in life and death situations where clarity becomes very key. And it is just something that inherently comes in those moments. Everything becomes very crystal clear to you. And that is one of the things that became crystal clear to me, was that when we were in those situations, the extraordinary ability of Rangers to be adaptable and overcome is one of the biggest key features on why I believe they're also very strong men in their own lives. That's why they're also very strong leaders, because they don't get set back by a situation. They don't get set back by circumstances. Now, that leads us to the next piece, is self-doubt leads to insecurity, right? So self-doubt leads to the insecurities that we have in our lives, the limitations that we have in our lives. And it's one of the key pieces to deteriorating that confidence that we have. When you start to believe that you're incapable of performing, when you start to believe that, oh, wow, this guy's better than me, I'm not good enough, or any of these other terms that we all use in our own minds, when you start to have that self-doubt, your confidence just starts to deteriorate, man. And with that, it's hard to constantly have to bring it back up. So one of the key features of being adaptable and having that confidence to be adaptable is to start addressing the self-doubt. And that means that we have to really look in to the things that we are saying to ourselves, why we're having that self-doubt. Where did it come from in our lives? You know, where did it come from, or who did it come from in our lives? Understanding the root of where that self-doubt came from is incredibly paramount to changing that aspect of being able to stay in that level of confidence, right? So when we address that root, we're able to be like, hey, okay, I understand that's where I was when this happened. I understand that's who I was when this happened. And I understand I am no longer that man. And it made me stronger because now, guess what? I've experienced that particular situation. I've experienced how I felt, and I can put that in my back pocket and know, okay, when that comes back up, how do I overcome it? How do I adapt to it? And then when you adapt, again, the cycle starts to continue to go, and then you gain confidence, and then you gain belief in yourself, and then all of the things that you desire in life end up showing up. But when we establish this rule of thumb where we're finding the conflict within ourselves and finding the self-doubt, the root of the self-doubt, then we can really establish a place where we can categorically put this into our files and say, okay, that is something that I can pull out later on. So why is this important, guys? Because I get questions on getting confidence. I get questions all the time on getting confidence. And I can just look at people. I can look at their facial features. I can listen to their tone. I can look at their body posture. I can understand them immediately as to that they aren't confident, and how to gain that confidence is not necessarily simple, but it is simple in its application. It's not a simple piece to overcome, especially for somebody who's been ingrained in not being confident in their lives. They've been somebody who's struggled with that. But when we can build that back up, when we can start to say, hey, here is the tools of being confident, is we got to get you in more uncomfortable experiences so you can start to really stress that muscle of adaptability, right? Put you into unfamiliar places. So then when you become very comfortable with yourself, when you become very comfortable in odd situations or things that aren't really within your normal, typical wheelhouse, it allows you to flex that muscle. And just like anything else, if you guys have listened to any of my YouTubes or my podcasts, you've realized that adaptability is key. You've realized that when you flex a muscle, everything that we do mentally is just like flexing a muscle, like going to the gym and working out. It doesn't get ripped. It doesn't get bigger by staring at the mirror. It gets bigger, it gets ripped, and you get in better shape by consistently performing the action over and over and over and over and over again. Just like our minds and just like our levels of perception of who we are, and changing, hardwiring, giving ourselves new affirmations and beliefs about ourselves, it becomes a flex of the muscle. We have to persistently and consistently do this. And until we do that, we will constantly reside back to what we trained on, which is our lowest level of consistent training, which is typically not the place we want to be, which is why we're trying to move on from there. So for all you guys out there that are wondering, how do I get confident? Well, guys, first thing is become adaptable. That is the first and foremost. Everything else kind of follows that and can be a byproduct of it. But until you're adaptable, confidence is not going to be something that you carry, because the fact of the matter is you're always going to be presented with an unfamiliar situation. And if you're single and you're trying to be confident right now and you're trying to get adaptable, that is the best place to do it, because guess what? You're adaptable with yourself. You're adaptable with anything that comes up. And then when you throw somebody else in the mix, it is going to stress that adaptability because you have new situations. But if you have encountered quite a few while you were single and you've built this adaptability and confidence based on that man, when somebody else gets interjected, when new situations come up, we end up being able to become adaptable more quickly to that than somebody who hasn't worked on this, and by somebody who has only applied this adaptability when they're in a relationship or with somebody else. Because take them out of that, which, you know, still a majority of their time is not with that person. When they're outside of them, they're not adaptable. They're not confident in doing that. And then that deteriorates their confidence outside of the relationship, which then shows in the relationship, because at that time, you are no longer being confident to them. They're going to see that there's going to be situations that make you flustered, situations that make you codependent. So just remember, this all bleeds together, and I stress that you guys gain this adaptability on your own. And if you are in relationships, you can still do this and do it on your own. You just need to start putting yourself in more uncomfortable situations without your spouse or partner so that you can go ahead and become adaptable in that. That means saying yes to shit that people invite you to that's random. It means putting yourself outside of them in the relationship and saying, hey, they're out of town this week, or hey, you know, if they don't live with you, you can be like, hey, they're not with me. I'm going to go out to dinner by myself this week. I'm just going to do that for myself and give myself that process of being alone, being independent, and challenging who I am, and then allowing myself to be adaptable in that situation and enjoy it, and also have the introspection that comes along with that. So confidence, a big one I get asked about, one I really want to help men with, but the first way to do that is to let you guys know you have to be adaptable. It is key. First and foremost, key, be adaptable. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see y'all next week.